Hello there, and thank you for joining us. This is another episode of the Designated Pundits. Today, we are previewing Match Day 2, Major League Soccer, with some of the best bets, picks, and predictions around the league. We had a fantastic week in Match Day 1, and I do want to mention, I look over the statistics for the podcast. 4 people downvoted our show. That is not only rude. I guess people just don't want free money because here are the results. You see what we did around the league here, plus 4.72 units on the show. Every single one of us profitable. Myself going 4-2, plus 3 even units. Scott 4-2 with plus 1 point. My graphics are too small. 1.06 units. Alex 0.12 units in the positive 4-4 still counts. And Dion in his first profitable show on the Designated Pundits in his first show, 2-1, 0.54 units. Slow and steady wins the race sometimes. So, thank you guys for tuning in. 14-9 in 23 wagers. Plus 4.72 units. And thank you for the losers who put a thumbs down on the YouTube. That doesn't help us. But for the winners out there who joined us, made some money, and gave that thumbs up, that subscribe, that's going to help us bring you content like this each and every week. I'm Bob, here with Scott and Dion. Together we have the Designated Pundits. We have some great picks for you today. Scott, how you doing?
I'm all right. Hey, look, I want to apologize to everybody for making the show late. I was coming home from work. Traffic is terrible. I'm out west, so I get done later than everybody else. I promise I'm trying.
For those of you catching on the recap on your favorite podcast app, you have no idea. So we're not sorry to you, but thank you for everyone who is live in the chat right now, dropping those comments, a couple of thumbs up, a couple of top week guys, and a couple of, hey, let's go. Thank you guys for joining us as we navigate through what we think is going to be a really profitable week again, what we hope is going to be a really profitable week again, if I can ever figure out how to take my graphics back up. Let's jump right into the first game. RSL hosting Seattle Sounders. This is going to be one of the primetime games, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday, March 1st, 2025. I have an official play. Dion has an official play. I'm going to throw over to him in just a second. Let's take a look at the odds here. RSL plus 160, Seattle plus 190, in the draw at plus 220. Over under 2.5 goals is at minus 106 to the over. Minus 118 to the under, so that 2.5 line is like spot on. Dion, what is your official play here?
So my official play here, Seattle straight up, with the plus 190, just because I watched Real Salt Lake last night in their midweek game against Champions Cup. I know that they played terrible against San Jose in week 1, but they also didn't look that great against Herediano, and Seattle's just a strong side. So I have to go with Seattle, even though they're on the road. And I think that they win it outright.
I'm sorry, I'm the RSL guy. I'm going to argue they didn't play terrible against San Jose for 70 minutes. And then they did play terrible, really, really terrible for 13 minutes. And give me a nickel because it happened twice. For 70 minutes, they played pretty well against Herediano. For the first half, I thought was really good. The second half was not very good. But at the 70-minute mark again, fell apart, went to sleep, gave up the goal. Seattle is a team you cannot do that against.
While I agree there, I'm a little more hesitant than Dion is. I'm not taking Seattle outright. I'm taking them on the draw no bet at minus 110. I do want that little bit of insurance towards the end of the match. Seattle's not a young squad either, and they are going up to altitude. They're traveling. This is RSL's home game. They do have a little bit of an advantage at home. This squad is not as bad as they may have looked for, 20 minutes of each of their first 2 games this season, but I just can't, give them a full-throated endorsement for Seattle. My official play here is going to be Seattle draw no bet at minus 110. And Dion's official bet, he's taken Seattle outright plus 190. I do think there's a little bit of risk there, but the reward is fantastic, and you got to like the numbers there, right?
Yep. I don't like picking RSL games. That's why no official plays for me. But if I, were to pick on this game, it's a really good time to pick against RSL. That hard thing for me to say. RSL fans, don't come at me about this, but it's a good time to pick against RSL because they are struggling to score goals.
Starry in the chat saying that since you were late, you're adding 17 minutes stoppage time added at the end of the show. Okay.
Fair.
Love that. Let's move on and talk about the next match here. Red Bull hosting Nashville. I will be in attendance. That's a 7:30 p.m. Eastern time match. Looking at the betting lines here, New York Red Bull's heavy favorite. They usually are at home, minus 154. Nashville plus 375. That is a huge underdog. The draw is plus 320. That's a little puzzling to me because Red Bull loves to draw at home, and when they're not scoring, which apparently they didn't do in their first match, the draw seems like a pretty good bet at plus 320. I kind of dig what I'm seeing here, and I think all these numbers are pretty fair for what we could expect. Scott, we're going to send over to you first.
Yeah, look, I like the moves that Red Bull pulled in the offseason, adding finally a big striker to this squad who, has some high-end capability. Nashville had an okay first week, but I think the Nashville project, while I have high hopes for it, just needs more time. And so this is, I think, a good opportunity to sort of get on Nashville before things are totally figured out for them. Also, slow start to the season because they had some guys who just weren't ready to go at the beginning of the year. So there's just going to be a little bit of hangover there. So my official play is Red Bull to win and under 2.5 goals. Under 2.5 goals. And that's going to be plus 280. So I
fully support that bet.
Yeah, I think there's good logic there. I think Red Bull should win this game at home. I don't think the Nashville offense is really up to speed yet. The Red Bull offense, not quite firing on all cylinders at the same time, but enough to get the win. I think 2-0, 1-0 kind of in the cards.
Sam saying I thought Red Bull were unlucky against Cincinnati. I do too. I missed the game live. I was at a show with my co-host Alex. It was a emo karaoke night. It was like early 2000s band playing punk, like pop punk music and pulling people out of the stands to sing the songs. It was an awesome show. But I watched the replay after I read the comments on social media, which is like, this team's done, we're toast, there's never. So I was going in super negative, and I'm like, wait, there's a lot of promising connecting play. Choupo-Moting, who, is big and slow, was making some decent runs. He beat a couple guys. He's not going to blaze by anyone with his speed. Pretty sure Shinsi at 0. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of that this year. Red Bull is going to shut Nashville down. I do see that. I would take Nashville team total under. I would even look at the numbers for the shutout there. I'm not going to make an official play because betting on your own team is pretty miserable when you're not sure what's going on. Later on, when we're dialed in, Red Bull scoring goals, I will bet them every week. Later on, when Red Bull is losing games, I will bet against them every week. But this early in the season, you don't want to have to, get off on a negative mindset on your team. So I will pass on an official play here. Let's move to another 7:30 match. Orlando hosting Toronto FC. And this is going to be quite the interesting play. Orlando minus 175, heavy home favorites. Toronto plus 470, and the draw is at plus 450. If you're on Toronto's side, you're getting a great deal on it. Over under 2.5 goals, minus 136 to the over. So apparently we're seeing some goals in this matchup. And Orlando over under 1.5. The over is minus 170. Toronto is not at 1.5. They're at 0.5 goals, with the over being 1.86. We're looking at both teams to score. A lot of ways to play this. My official play is going to be Orlando win and over 2.5 goals. And, we saw goals last week in both these matches. Orlando fell 2-4 against Philadelphia. Toronto drew DC United by a score of 2-2. I think, Orlando looked better. Orlando played a better team. But they have issues on defense. Robin Jansen wasn't available. So they're starting Bracalo and Schlegel. Those are two backups on any other Major League Soccer team. They're going to be scored on, but I do think they have the firepower. We saw Pasalic score on in his first match, and I think that, they have the juice here. So I'm favoring an Orlando win. I like the over of 2.5 goals. I'm going to put them together at plus 124, which I think is a pretty good number. Toronto's a mess. They have that Insigne contract they can't get rid of. Apparently they tried and had offers, and he would rather sit on the bench in Toronto than play ball overseas. That's his deal until Ola Brynhildsen, their new striker, is ready to go. Until they get a few things figured out, I'm going to fade Toronto. Orlando's the home team. That's all I need to know. Dion, you have an official play in this match too.
Yeah, so Insigne, I heard earlier today from a Toronto fan, he is training with the team. So maybe we'll get to see him. I highly doubt it, though. I was going to agree with you. I do agree with you, Bob, with the, I would go with that bet too. But to switch it up a little bit, I actually am just going with Orlando to win in the first half at plus 110. I think that they will be leading at halftime there at home against a not so good Toronto side. I think they have a lot of potential, but I just don't think it's there this early in the season.
In the chat saying Toronto possibly a good long shot. Yeah, if you like Toronto, you got to hammer them because you're not getting a better number than this all season long on the plus 470 to win, plus 450 to draw. Will that give you like plus 210 double chance? Yes, I do like the money, although I don't think Toronto's going to win. We have two official plays on this match. Bob with Orlando and over 2.5 goals at plus 124. And Dion with Orlando first half plus 110. I do like that. Toronto might, catch some steam moving on. Again, I do think there's going to be goals. If you want to tease it up to an alternate total, like 3.5, even 4.5, I think those are both strong possibilities in this matchup. Heading on to another East Coast game, Philadelphia Union is hosting FC Cincinnati. Philadelphia Union plus 125 home favorites. FC Cincy not far behind at plus 190 on the road. The draw is at plus 260. We saw the Philadelphia Union light up on offense. We saw that a little bit towards the end of last year. Actually, they had a couple games where they scored. They were playing a lot of narrow ball with that narrow formation with some fullbacks getting upfield, providing a little bit of width. We saw Baribo get on the score sheet twice. That's fantastic for them. I do like where they're headed. And as far as FC Cincinnati goes, they have the highest paid MLS transfer, I should say. And they're doing really nice things with it. Kevin Dinky looked fantastic connecting with Evander there. Scott, you have an official play?
I do have an official play. You can see a little bit in the odds that there's this thought that Cincy might get something out of the game. You see Philly, a home team who just won 42, just exploded offensively, still getting plus odds at home. Very interesting. I think there's a certain unpredictability about Philly's offense. They might go off for 4, or they might do nothing at all. Look, Istari says Philly to win. Bradley Carnell, a great fit for Philly. I agree that Bradley Carnell is a great fit for Philly. But I think there's still something about Cincy. I still think Cincy is a really high achieving team this season. And so my play is actually Cincy with a draw no bet. I think that this is a team, they've traded wins with Philly in the past, that can come in here and get a result. It's plus 110. It's the security of the draw no bet. If they draw, cost me nothing. I think that Cincy, who's had a little bit of, extra game time this season, but had a really comfortable lead going into their Champions Cup game over midweek, is going to be a little bit sharper in this game. And I think that's going to give them the edge.
I agree there. And, they have so much personnel. Like Pavel Buka has been fantastic so far this season. You don't want to see him leave, but you don't need that offense there. You need a little defense there. Maybe like Nobodo and Anunga get out there and kind of do their thing, just blow up the middle of that field. Philly loves playing narrow, and if you win the middle of the field, that's how they're going to do it. FC Cincinnati, they have 3 pretty good center backs. We're not sure, obviously Miazga's not available yet, and you're kind of moving Yedlin around, but it could be a really, really fun and interesting match. I like goals in this. I like FC Cincinnati in this. I'm just not quite there with you to make it an official play. So this match will have 1 official play. Scott with FC Cincinnati, draw no bet plus 110. Dion, if you had to give us a lean, who would you take in this matchup?
See, I couldn't go. I couldn't put a bet on this one because I think it could go either way. It just depends on what Philly team decides to show up. Are we going to get that 4-goal one, or are we going to get one that doesn't score at all? And last season, I felt like they really struggled at Subaru Park. When in years past, they've been dominant at Subaru Park. They very rarely lose, where last year it was up and down. So it was just it's too close for me on this one. So I would say, if anything, maybe Cincinnati. But if I was to go for anything, I would go with Scott's bet. Cincinnati or no.
Draw no bet, something with a little bit of cover where you're still getting plus odds. I do like that. Let's move on now to an 8:30 match. The Chicago Fire host DC United. Let's take a look at what the odds are going to be for this one. And again, we're seeing goals over 2.5 goals, minus 167. This line is probably going to be 3.5 by the end of the week. Chicago Fire even money plus 100. DC United plus 230 on the road. In the draw at plus 270, which is probably the most likely outcome between two teams that just kind of can't get out of each other's way earlier this season. Scott, you have an official play for us here.
I do. I'm back. I have more official plays this time than I've ever had before. But there were just a lot of games that I liked. I am back at Chicago. Chicago did let me down last week, but they're back at home. I think that matters. Brian Gutierrez is suspended, and that hurts a little bit. So that changed a little bit what I wanted to do. But I'm still choosing Chicago. But I'm pairing it with an over 1.5 goals. That gives me plus 140 for Chicago at home. Just a little security. I was looking at the over 2.5. That's at plus 185. But with Gutierrez not available, maybe something happens and you don't get all the goals you think you're going to get. Look, I think this Chicago team is they're just heading in the right direction. I think Berhalter is a guy with the experience in the league. He actually does have good players in this roster. And look, it's going to come together. I thought they were a little hard done against Columbus last week. They still scored 2 goals. This DC United team is not Columbus good.
I agree. And I agree with everything that's going on in the chat right now. DC to win at any price. I'm not feeling that, but plus 230 is great odds. They obviously have a chance. I'm a Berhalter fan. I think that he's taking this team. He's going to be taking this team the next step. Jonathan, between Bamba and Zinkernagel, they have 2 wings that are finally, putting it together for the team. The defense is going to be an issue. We kind of knew that. But I do like Chicago. I like Chicago at home. I like home teams at plus money. My problem betting this, and the reason I'm scared off, unless I think you can beat DC by 2 or 3 goals, I don't like to bet them because I don't want to be sitting there with the cash out option on my thumb. DC, they're just throwing balls in the middle to Benteke now. Let me sweat this out for the last 10 minutes. That's not for me. That's not my lifestyle, Scott. Dion.
A 1-goal lead is going to be just clench sweat time. Yeah. Sorry, Dion.
Squeaky bum time? Is that what Sir Alex would say? Squeaky bum time?
No, I agree. I agree with both of you. I think that there was a lot of positives for Chicago in their 4-2 loss. I mean, that does, when a team puts 4 on you, that does look bad. But I think with how, bad Chicago was last year coming in that first game, I think there's a lot of positives. And I think later in the season, this is a team that could potentially be in a playoff race or in a playoff spot for sure. I think DC is going to struggle. I feel like they didn't bring in enough to help out Benteke. But again, if it is just a 1 goal, there in the last 15 minutes, they're just going to send balls into Benteke. And if he gets ahead on it, they're tying the game. So that's why I didn't go with a bet on this one, because if anything, I would go with a draw but I think that there's a lot of positives there in Chicago.
Chicago in over 1.5 goals at plus 140. You can also play it Chicago both teams to score, one of those. Although if you think both teams are going to score, you would obviously then be taking Chicago and over 2.5, getting that a little bit of better of a number here. But in this bet, you just take DC completely out of the equation. Let's just put it all in Chicago's hands. I do like the way that that's going to lean right there. Let's move on now. Sporting KC is hosting San Jose Earthquakes. And of course, we have to talk about this game, one that we would have passed up last year without even taking a second gander at. But I have an official play here. Let's first look at the odds. Sporting KC plus 105. San Jose plus 230. Draw at plus 260. We do think there's going to be goals, minus 167 over 2.5. And Sporting KC over 1.5, minus 124. San Jose over under 1.5. Plus 125 to the over, minus 175 to the under. So, yeah, it looks like we're betting SKC to win in this one. Let's talk about my official play. Sporting KC, they have some congestion here early. They just got eliminated by Inter Miami from CONCACAF Champions Cup. This is going to be Sporting KC's 4th game this season, and all 3 prior matches have resulted in losses. In comparison, their opponent, San Jose, played just one match, which was a 4-0 win over RSL. And while RSL rotated a ton of players in that 4-0 loss, I still think a rotated RSL team is better than anything Sporting KC has to offer. I think you could take the worst players on RSL, probably still better than what SKC is going to put on the field. San Jose has shown improvement across one match. That's a very small sample size, but I believe in Bruce Arena. I really do. I think he's on a redemption tour after, getting fired from the Revolution for some allegations. He brought in his own guys. He brought in Chicho Arango, who did not score in that 4-0 win. I do think he's going to score in this match. The important thing here is that I want to get refunded if it's a draw, because I do think 0-0, 1-1 is a possibility. 5-0 is a possibility too. I do like the San Jose Earthquakes, so I'm taking the Quakes on a draw no bet at plus 140. Dion, you're with me on this, aren't you?
Yeah, 100%. I don't think I'm right there with you with Sporting KC do not have as strong a side as what Real Salt Lake does. Yes, San Jose are on the road here, but I just think, like you said, Chicho Arango, I'm a huge Joseph Martinez fan. Neither one of those guys were involved in the attack in that 4-0 victory. So I think if those two do get, they click, they're scoring. One of them's going to score in this match. I feel it. And so I also went with San Jose draw no bet. And I think San Jose, they should win this one easily.
They should do. I did the same thing. I looked at this. I said, it worries me slightly that San Jose is on the road. That is a place they have struggled in recent years. On the road is still a hard thing to do in Major League Soccer. It's a California team now going to a chilly Midwest. I don't know what the weather is going to be. Actually, it occurs to me to look that up, but I just thought, I'd like a little bit of security, so the draw no bet. But all the things that Dion just said, Chicho and Martinez need to get going. Martinez is like 1 goal away from a record, by the way. Tell me that guy isn't hungry. And there's only one team below RSL in the MLS Power Rankings right now. No points for guessing.
Is it Sporting KC?
It could be.
That's what I was going to guess, but I'm not sure.
They are really bad. Someone here saying, I know all SKC fans want Vermes out. I don't think Vermes is on a particularly short leash. We talked to Jimmy Mack from No Other Pod, and he said that they were giving him like a 3 transfer window rebuild, and that he has like a 1.5 years in case the wheels really, really fall off. We think Vermes is going to be there, all of 2025 and half of 2026. Dion, any thoughts?
Isn't he the longest standing head coach in MLS?
Yeah.
I mean, how? I mean, I'm sorry. I don't think Sporting Kansas City has been all that great in these last
they've been pretty
years.
terrible, but I'm not sure I blame him particularly for that.
Yeah, but usually, the manager is the first to look at, but I don't know.
The bright spot of the team, Jake Davis, looked awful He was not up for the occasion against Inter Miami. So we're going to see how heavily this squad is rotated. San Jose is a bad team, and it's very risky to take them on the road in game 2 after we've only had 1 game sample size. But draw no bet plus 140. I'm not playing a double chance. I don't want those minus 150 odds on this. Give me my money, or we're going to move on here. 3 official plays. Me, Scott, and Dion all on San Jose. Draw no bet plus 140. Now let's move on to Minnesota United hosting CF Montreal. Minnesota United minus 200, CF Montreal plus 525, and the draw plus 320. I think this is the heaviest over, favorite underdog split on the slate here. Over under 2.5 goals. The over's minus 150. So we are thinking there's going to be goals in this matchup here. The only official play is Alex. Alex is not here today. So does anyone else, Dion, maybe we want to throw to you and see if you have a lean on this match?
I really didn't look at this match too hard. I do think Minnesota will get the job done at home, but that negative 200 just wasn't good enough for me to pick. But I think that Minnesota should. I mean, Montreal, I will say Montreal looked pretty decent against Atlanta on the road in a packed house there in Atlanta. I will say that. I just think them playing on the road against Minnesota, it's not going to be the same. I think that Minnesota could be a little bit better defensively than what Atlanta was. Atlanta struggled defensively in that match in week 1. So I would definitely go with Minnesota winning this, but just not enough for me to make a bet on it.
Do you think Minnesota's offense is efficient enough this early in the season?
Yes.
To pair it up with like overs? That's what Alex did.
I do, and actually, I was waiting for Alex. Alex couldn't be with us tonight. I do, and I took a small over with Alex. I agreed with him. He made the bet, and I piggybacked on it. Minnesota in over 1.5 goals at plus 125. This covers a 2-1 win. This covers a 2-0 win. This covers a 1-0 win. I like Minnesota. I think Yeboah is going to be fantastic. They went with like a 3-man back line with 2 up top with Oluwaseyi and Yeboah last week, which I think is going to be a recipe for success. We saw Pereira. We saw Robin Ludd. Bongi Longwane, Joseph Rosales, guys who like stretching the field and getting up there into the action. I think this is a really good team. They have a better goalkeeper. When it goes to Montreal, I was making fun of them earlier this week when I was talking to Gareth Wheeler, who's like a Canadian soccer expert, former podcast host with me. And he's like, dude, don't overlook this team. I know they don't look great on paper, but they made a lot of good changes. I think they made a lot of depth changes. They're still a little lacking some of that top-tier talent. In that top-tier talent, Vrioni against Yeboah Oluwaseyi, who's going to win that one? I will bench Vrioni as much as New England would have, and I'm going to take Minnesota in this match. Again, I'm going to pair it over 1.5, very small total to get a minus 125 number. That was Alex's play, and I'm taking it with him here. Let's move on to Portland hosting Austin. This game is going to be 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. And you're going to see Portland plus 105, plus money for a home favorite. Austin FC plus 220, and the draw is plus 300. We are expecting goals. The over under 2.5 goals is minus 175. I think Austin can put a beat down on Portland in this match. Am I going to bet it? Ugh. Austin was so bad. I need to see a little more, but I really think they're cooking with fire over there. Guys, do we have any thoughts on Portland versus Austin?
Oh, man. I worry about Portland's defense all the time, but Kamal Miller is suspended for this game, so I worry about it even more. However, it's a home game for Portland. The offense has got to figure it out. I do think Portland's new signing, DaCosta, does look like a real player. I think he will be a really nice player for them this season. I could lean Portland. You know what I really lean on this is just like find an over that gives you good value. The straight up over minus 175, not enough, but find something because that's probably going to hit.
Yeah, I like goals in this one too. I would like to be picking goal props. I prefer to play players to score or assist. I think that's a little better bang for my buck there. You got guys like Brandon Vasquez, Owen Wolf, Bukhari, and Uzuni, the two wingers. I was a little surprised that they went with two men up top. They went like a 4-4-2 last week. I was expecting like a 4-3-3 traditional here. But Austin, I really like what they have going on here. And in the official plays, we have one. It's Alex taking Austin winner draw at -140. The number is just not there for me at -140. I mean, you have to hit 60% of these to make any money off of it. And I'm just not that confident this way in the season. Give me 3 weeks and maybe we'll get there. Portland, when you lose your number 10, it changes everything. They have to settle in. They have, Jonathan Rodriguez still hurt. DaCosta can step up with Felipe Mora, Santiago Moreno. This is a ball club, and they scored a lot of goals last year, but they're also Swiss cheese on defense last year. So this game has maybe one of the widest ranges of outcomes that you're going to see this week. Like, if I told you guys Portland is going to dominate 4-1, would anyone object? No. If I told you Austin was going to win 4-1, would anyone object? If I told you it was a 0-0 draw, would anyone object?
Yes, I would actually. I would object to that.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
I don't think either of these teams are gonna. I just about Portland. One last thing, which is, I know they just got torched by Vancouver again. Considering that we saw Vancouver torch them in nearly the exact same way in the playoffs last season, I would say, be careful about reading too much into that. Vancouver did something to Portland that other teams did not necessarily do to Portland. That could very well just be a really bad matchup for Portland. And there could be some lingering, kind of trauma there that Portland has. The mentals that Portland hasn't worked through. Austin is not Vancouver. Austin won 1-0 at home against SKC, who is, 30th in power ranking. So, just be careful on that, I guess, if you're going to pick this game.
Austin team total over 1.5 at plus money is decent value. Love that. I'm looking at the alternate totals here. Over 3.5 is plus 137. That's not enough for me. You're looking at 4 goals. It's just not nothing. It's not tingling up there for me either on this one. So going to be no official play here, but Alex is taking Austin winner draw -140. Let's move on. San Diego FC, we got the first taste of their play last week, and if you didn't catch our recap show, go back and watch it. We pulled up video from that game. Anders Dreyer connecting with Irving Lozano, connecting with Tom, what's his name? The kid his father played, Thomas Angel. That was a fantastic play. They're really good, man. And St. Louis not off to a hot start. Here in this match, you're going to see 10:30. Nice West Coast game here. San Diego FC plus 105. St. Louis City plus 225. And the draw is at plus 290. Over under 2.5 goals. Looks like we're favoring the over -175. San Diego over 1.5 at -138. And St. Louis is going to be plus 123 for this matchup. And, I have a very distinct play. Me, Alex, and Scott all have official bets, so I'll go first on this one because this was in my sportsbook article. Go over to thedesignatedpundits.com. You can catch full justification on all these matches. And what I said was, hey, they're coming off a 2-0 road win. They're playing at home for the first match in franchise history. You're getting plus 100 for them to win at home in their first match in franchise history. And they're playing the how are you in the Western Conference St. Louis City. St. Louis is at a problem. They are traveling West Coast for each and every match they play against division rivals. And I don't like that, Here you see, I don't even know what, it's even odds, team, home. I think every home team making their MLS debut is one for the past, you saw St. Louis do. They got off to a 5-game winning streak when they came into the league. This game is going to be loud. It's going to be a full stadium. And San Diego has already shown that they are ready to do it. I watched them in preseason. They looked good. I watched them in the season. They looked fantastic. Luca De La Torre might have been one of the best MLS debuts in Major League Soccer. I like what he's doing there, and he was all over the field. San Diego City is not even at full strength with their defense. I see goals. I like San Diego. I can get them at plus 105. I'm doing it. That's the official play. San Diego plus 105. Scott.
Look, I have the same play. I came to it independently. I want to point that out. I didn't just copy you. I came to this independently on my own, but for very similar reasons. First home game, emotions are high. This team will be playing like this is some sort of cup final. Okay, they want to win their first ever home game. I really liked the way that this team managed the game against the LA Galaxy. I liked the way that they were able to cut off service to the LA Galaxy offense. I liked the way they were able to keep Gabriel Peck quiet. I know that Joseph Paintsil wasn't there. I know that there's no Ricky Pooch. I know that Mark Delgado is gone. I know that the whole midfield is different, and the offense is different. I get it. San Diego managed that really, really well. I watched St. Louis in preseason, and I thought there's some problems here with this group. There's a gear that they're not getting into. I think if you can, they still, yes, they played very well against Colorado. They had an expected goal of 2. You got to put those away. You don't put those away, you're not going to win a lot of games. That was at home. You're now traveling into this San Diego environment that's going to be so difficult. I don't think that gets any better for that St. Louis offense.
San Diego is better than Colorado by a lot.
Also,
I do agree that maybe I am low on St. Louis City. I ranked them low, but you don't get style points. This is Major League Soccer. You put the ball in the back of the net or you don't. And when we're betting with it, you don't go up to the sports book. Hey, can you give me like a little bit back because, the XG number was really high? No. We're going to find out real soon. Dion, what do you think about this matchup?
So I did not bet on this one because I'm going to go a little bit against you guys, just a little bit, because I really did love what I saw against San Diego. I did a watch along for that game. They played phenomenal. I thought that they were fantastic. I will say I rated them very low in my predictions for the Western Conference, and now I wish I wouldn't have because I think they're going to be very great. But at the same time, St. Louis did play well against Colorado. I know that they didn't score. They had a lot of good looks. But I do feel, though, St. Louis likes to draw a lot and like on the road too. So I could see them, because you guys said emotions are high. You're going to be nervous. It's your first game at home ever for San Diego. Could those nerves work against them? Because that does happen sometime. But we have seen that, first, what am I trying to say? Their first ever game, home games, usually that team wins. I could see St. Louis somehow coming in and getting a draw. I don't think St. Louis could win, but I could see them get a draw. But if I was really betting, I would probably go with San Diego like you all, but I just couldn't do it.
One of the players I really want to watch for availability is going to be Franco Negri. Left with a knock. He was all over the field. What a fantastic debut here on his first time with San Diego. St. Louis, when I look at this team, if I really had to pick up a spot, like Giannis Horn is a very weak player for them out on the left back position, and I want to see him pair up against Anders Dreyer. I think that's a particular place where they might get a little extra there, hitting from the wings on San Diego. Scott, final thoughts?
No, I think we've really covered that. Let's move on to this last one here.
Last matchup here is Houston hosting Miami. This is Sunday, 7:00. Who would have thought a primetime game would have been given to Miami? It's like they're never going to play 7:00 on a Saturday. All these flex matches and moving everyone out here. Houston is a team I picked on last week because I thought Dallas had an advantage. We were talking about the, Copa Tejas. Dallas, historically bad at home historically bad on the road last year, only one win the whole season. And I said Dallas is going to go into Houston and get the win. I said they were going to score 2 goals. They did both of those things. I won 2 bets. I think that was a full, 3 units almost on just that match alone. And I'm going to do it again. I'm going to pick on this Houston defense because they are not the same as they were. They're missing their best player, Mikael, who was traded away, and he hasn't been replaced. The team didn't have enough time to practice. He was sold a week or 2 before the season started. That's going to be a problem when you're facing off against Miami. Houston Dynamo plus 150, Inter Miami plus 160, basically a pick 'em at this point. The draw is at plus 250. Over under 2.5 goals, minus 163 to the over, plus 125 to the under. And the one I'm really interested in here is Inter Miami over under 1.5 goals, plus 110 for the over, minus 150 for the under. You know what I am hammering. I am hammering Miami to score goals. In fact, just 2 of them at plus 110. Goals are not easy to come by in Houston traditionally, but you don't get points for what your team did last year, which is, I think, what these odds show. Miami scores 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 against just about everyone they play. Even if Houston can put a little, dampening on this Miami parade, I think 2 goals is pretty easy, and we're divorcing ourselves from the result. Houston can come back in this and score 2 of their own. I don't care. I want Miami to score 2 goals, and we make some money. Miami's on short rest. They're traveling. I don't trust their defense anyway. But Houston is not a defensive powerhouse. In fact, they are quite bad. Their center back pairing with Steres out left. They started Steres as a left back and left Franco Escobar and Ethan Bartlow in the center. You're going to do that and call it a day? Not against Miami, you're not. I don't know how they're going to defend. Well, I do know how they're going to do it. It's poorly. But it just Obafemi Awodesu and Ethan Bartlow is not a pairing you want to see come up when Miami is there. Franco Escobar, again, he did not start in this one. I think I misspoke just a few seconds ago. He subbed in. He is not 90 minutes fit. Steres was there out of position. You're going to put Steres up there against Messi as a center back playing? Nope, not for me. I'm taking Miami with the goals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Bartlow especially had a bad day against Dallas, by the way. Odesu did okay. Bartlow had a bad day. Sorry, Dion. Yeah, no. You got to play on this, right?
Yeah, I did. I went with Miami straight up with the. Whenever I first looked at it, I looked at this early in the week, and it was plus 155 for Miami, and I had to jump on it. I think it is, 160 now, from what you put on there on your visual there, Bob. And you pretty much hit the nail on the head with all of that. Yes, Miami is coming off of a short week because of the midweek game, but still, I don't think Houston has a good enough defense. Even if Messi only plays a half, or even like Suarez plays a half, I think that between them coming in for one half and their younger guys, I think that Miami get the job done on the road and pretty easily.
I would take 15 minutes of Messi in this match. Everyone in the chat saying feed Houston till it fails. That's what we're going to do. That's, I can see myself picking on them early. I actually wrote this exact thing in my article. I will keep picking on Houston until Ben Olsen does something to turn this team around. And that's what I'm going to do. It's just not in the cards for them this season. They are historically good at home. You don't get history points when you're betting on Major League Soccer, but weird things do happen. So I want to take that into account. I love the plus 155 on Miami to win. You're right. You're not going to see that ever again. However, I need to divorce myself from that. I don't want to be sweating. I want to see 2 goals, and then I can go to bed. I can sit on the couch and enjoy this game in style.
Miami's defense worries me a little bit. Aviles has did he get the red card? Yeah, in league play, so he's suspended. Drake Callender is out with an injury, so you're going to see Ustari again. The defense was not great last season. I don't especially expect it to be good this season. The thing I like the team total for Miami because I think Miami actually does have to go out and score some goals in this. I think they're not going to be able to like 1-0 it. They won't.
And if you have the stomach, you could tease that number up. You don't need to take the over-under on 1.5. I'm going to pull that up while Dion riffs here about his favorite play of the week.
So my favorite play of the week, I would have to say that the Seattle match is my favorite one. I think that Seattle playing at Real Salt Lake, I know that, it's altitude and everything. I think Seattle definitely will get the job done. Their attack is really good. I think Charlotte, like they drew with Charlotte in week 1. I think Charlotte's going to be a really good team this year. And, it's first match of the year too. So, there's things there, but I think that Seattle will have no problem going to Real Salt Lake to win that.
I like that. I like the fact that we're getting a couple draw no bets. I do the double chance, but the odds just seem so spot on. I like a lot of away teams this week, so I had to kind of push myself off of that and take a favorite somewhere. So I'm taking Minnesota United and over 1.5 at -125. It's not great odds. It wasn't my official handicap. I like San Diego FC too. Those are probably the safer bets. Again, it's only week 2. We think we have a lot of information, but MLS has the highest volatility of any major sporting league when it comes to sports betting. So if you can hit those home favorites early, if you can bet those sure things, you're going to have a much better time. Scott, best bet?
My favorite one is the San Jose draw no bet, plus 140. I love the matchup against a bottom feeder kind of SKC team. I love that Chicho and Joseph Martinez really have some motivation to get their goal scoring going for the season. Martinez, of course, close to that to some sort of record. Chicho just needing to get it going. So I love those dynamics going into this road game.
Last question here says, fancy anything Charlotte versus Atlanta? No. I really like Charlotte's defense. Too. I think they underperformed last week. And there's a reason that this was not played. It wasn't like I don't have a tip. It was I am going to avoid this match with prejudice. I want to see that information. I'm not paying for it this early. So unfortunately, sorry, cannot help you with a pick for that match. Although I'll check maybe some goal scorers as we get into it. We'll see if Kerwin Vargas makes his debut, something like that. So we got some good stuff there. Okay, gentlemen. Final thoughts for the week?
I think I'm good.
Yeah. Pass.
It's good.
I will say go Atlanta, but I couldn't go for anything with that one because Atlanta's my team. I couldn't.
Odds aren't there. Goals aren't there.
It's not there.
Nope. And sometimes, the best bet you can make is putting your hand in your pocket and letting someone else risk their money on that. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here with us, and thank you at home for watching The Designated Pundits.